Hey everybody, we're here at the Sega booth now, and I have the distinct pleasure of talking with Stephen Frost and Matt Powers, producers at Sega, on Thor, God of Thunder. Guys, how you doing today?
Yeah.
Good, how are you?
It's great, we're showing Thor. It's awesome.
It's great.
Now, of course, the first question is, you're taking a very long and deep comic book history. How hard was it to mold a game to a character that really hasn't been done in this medium before?
Well, yeah, that's probably one of the big challenges, because not only has Thor been around for decades, over 600 issues, but he's also got so many abilities and so many cool enemies. So we really, we worked with Marvel, and Matt Fraction helped us a lot to try to craft a story, to try to take advantage as much of that universe as possible. Get classic enemies like Surtur and Ulik in there, but definitely want to make sure we use all of Thor's abilities, all his combos, his grappling, his god powers, try to cram it all into one game.
Very cool. Now, of course, there's also a movie coming out next summer for Thor. Is there any going to be correlation between the game and the movie?
Well, we're obviously using the characters that are founded in that movie, right? You got the Lokis, the Odins, the Thors, the main characters like that. But, you know, we're going to build upon that. We have a lot of, like you said earlier, a lot of rich heritage, a lot of history. There's tons of worlds that they're not going to be able to show on the big screen, right? And we want to take players through that journey of going to Niflheim and Muspelheim and kind of battling these giant foes that you've seen sort of in the comics but are now envisioned on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a collaboration. I mean, certainly the movie's going to introduce Thor to a brand new audience. We want to make sure people who know Thor from the movie can play the game and say, great, this is more of Thor. People who don't see the movie and they love the comic book, they can still come in and say, great, look at all these characters I recognize. I finally get to play them myself.
Very cool. Now, of course, you mentioned that his powers, he's got thunder, he's got wind, he's got lightning, but he's also got his hammer. How hard was it balancing working in the melee with his abilities?
Well, I mean, it's always a challenging thing, right? I mean, the great thing about Thor is that, you know, he is combat-centric, so he has the ability to not only do melee, but he can throw his hammer. He's got several different abilities, but it gives a lot of flexibility in the combos, right? We can have a nice ramp-up of your abilities, and that in conjunction with the god power. So normally you'd see it separated in the game. You'd have god power separate, you have the melee and range combat, but we actually also combine it. So during these combos with the hammer, if you want to pull out a lightning attack finisher or a wind attack to blow someone off a cliff, you can do that, and that's a pretty cool way that we built the system.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to go through the 9 worlds. Of course, Thor's rich history. How hard was it to balance his abilities going against like 12-foot frost giants and all these other giant creatures? And how was it to balancing it so that you could take them down and yet it's still being realistic?
Well, yeah, that is a challenge. I mean, Thor is so powerful, and so you got to create worlds and creatures that threaten him. Luckily, we can do these cool realms like Muspelheim and Niflheim, and so you have the smaller minions, which we can just have tons of them on the screen, so you have to like throw them around and do big tornadoes to brush them off you. But then you have these giant enemies that are like 60 feet tall, and Thor literally has to climb on top of them and jump around them to fight them. And so we do bring a lot of different variety of threats.
Guys, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Summer 2011, Thor, God of Thunder from Sega.
Thank you.
Thanks.